Heyo, welcome to Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I am a vengeful spirit of the Winterlands named Drusilla Adeline. Welcome to another week and episode of Bloodhaus.
Brr, it's cold in here.
When did that happen? How are you doing, Josh?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, no complaints. How are you?
I'm good. My mother was just in town, so I just had a very... I'm a little exhausted. I just had a whirlwind. Whenever my mom goes in town, it's very active and peppy and a lot to do because she lives in the Midwest, she lives in Indiana, and there's always only a little bit of time that she can spend in LA, and she wants to do all of it, and she wants to be out and about, and she's very active, and she's a yoga instructor. She's always doing stuff, and so I'm like, I have to prepare myself, and then I have a whole big day, and it's great, and I eat a lot of food, and I get a lot of sunshine, and I'm out, and I'm moving around, and then I want to hibernate for 3 weeks. And it's great, and I love her, and I love when she visits, but it's all... Literally, I've been up since 5 a.m. after she left for the airport, so I'm just kind of
Well,
but I will get there.
Maybe take it as a positive sign for your aging. Like maybe you'll be as active as she is at 50 or, whatever.
Yeah, I'll get there if I get into yoga.
Yeah,
which I should.
Yeah, yoga's great. I love yoga.
Yoga's great. But we had a good time while she was here. We went, I mean, basically, she just went to go shopping, so we went all up and down Melrose. We also went to Revenge of the Pinball Palace over in Eagle Rock. They were having one of their final Lotzilla event of the summer. It was crazy fun. I'd never been before. And Vinegar Syndrome was tabling there and selling stuff, and Revenge of just also sells records and comics and toys and ephemera and stuff like that. So I left with multiple Creature from the Black Lagoon figures, and we Ivory was there with us too, and we were they had Scooby-Doo pinball and Texas Chainsaw Massacre pinball and Austin Powers pinball. It was Universal Monsters pinball. It was just a hoot. That's cool. And so much fun. Yeah, it was an absolute delight, and I am going to be hanging out there a lot now that it's now that I know it's 10 minutes from my house and cheap and fun and a fun.
Yeah, I want to go there. I love pinball. I love it.
Really, 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 really fun. When I was growing up, my father had a friend who was more financially secure than our family was.
Yeah.
And he had two 1960s pinball machines in his basement that were decommissioned and switched, so you didn't have to juke quarters and you just hit a little button underneath. And whenever we would go over there, I would just spend the entire time in the basement playing Indy 500 pinball.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
pinball is so fun. It's so stressful, but so fun.
It is very stressful, but when you're doing well, it's the perfect blend of stressful and exciting that I love from horror movies and stuff like that. We were playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre pinball, and it was just going and going and going and going. At a certain point, 2 or 3 balls were deployed, and I was just very verklempt and very excited. It was great. I had a great time.
Do you know what's a really good pinball game? A classic, famous one that I love is the Addams Family game from the 90s when they released the first movie. That one is really good. Yeah.
It's always been a secret hidden passion of mine. I'm the day that I have all the money and I have the house with the hidden bookcase that's a door and all the secret passages and things like that, I will have 2 or 3 pinball machines, and they'll be strewn throughout the house and all of that.
I've got a better idea for you. I have an idea that tops that as your rich lady secret hobby. So I know that you love Lego. I know that you're a designer, and I now know that you love pinball. What if you started designing and building pinball machines from scratch?
Oh, that would be fun, actually. That would
Isn't
actually
that cool?
be very fun. Something I ever since I was a child and I saw this movie, I've always wanted a recreation of the Elton John pinball machine from Tommy with the keyboard on the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That would be very awesome. A pinball machine that you get to play instead of having the buttons on the side to move the flappers, you actually have to hit the keyboard. Yeah. That would be very fun. I don't know.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
And that would be this is a thing that's in my house and no one else's, and fuck you, weird collectors.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know that we both saw Alien Romulus. Should we talk about that?
Oh yeah, we both saw the Alien movie.
We both had similar thoughts, I think. I really liked it. I thought it was fun and scary. I have some quibbles and a couple of things that I truly hated about it. Quibbles are
there's
like,
one thing that I really
yeah,
strongly was against.
there's some like story things that don't really make sense, like the chip that the android uploads that sort of doesn't make any sense within the story, and there's like little things like that. I'm not wild about the choice to have like a cast of all hot 21-year-olds. It feels like a little tacky and unsophisticated to me, because the characters from the first movie, first of all, are much better actors. It's undeniable, but they're like middle-aged truckers, and that gives like the movie, I don't know, a sense of like, this is like a workplace movie essentially, and it feels tacky in Hollywood to just have all 21-year-old hot people, first of all, and then it also just doesn't feel believable that they like know how to do any of the things that they're doing based on their class and age.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, all of the characters are just like so flat and boring. It's essentially like a teen slasher via Alien.
The only one that has any definable personality is that he's mean, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. All the others are more or less interchangeable, and the only other things that you can tell about them are superficial details of like things about their bodies. Like, oh,
yeah,
this one's a man.
This one has a shaved head.
Yeah.
I hated what they did to Ian Holm.
I agree. In which they use generative AI to replicate his voice.
It's so crazy. And
it looks so bad too. There's like dramatic
so
push in at the like quote unquote reveal that's so unfortunate.
It looks like the worst deep fake you've ever seen in your life. But also on top of that, I realized much later, it doesn't even make sense, because that's not the ship from Alien. That is not the same android from Alien. So why is he split in half exactly like Ash? Why is it Ian Holm? And someone told me like, oh, all of the androids of that model are identical.
Yeah.
But I was like, but why have him split in half like that? Exactly. It visually references the first movie, but shouldn't be. So it literally could have been any actor on Earth. And there's just no need for it to be Ian Holm. And it looked terrible. And it's like, please let that man rest. He deserves his rest.
So we'll get into this real quickly. But my secret shame is I've only ever seen the first Alien movie, and now Alien Romulus. Mm-hmm. I've not seen Aliens. I've not seen Alien Cubed. I have not seen Jean-Pierre Junot's Amelie in Space. I've not seen any of those. And it's been a long time since I saw that first Alien movie. Like, I saw it like during the day on a TV at home, right? Mm-hmm. Like in high school. So my memory of it is foggy at best. But if I recall correctly, my memory of that original one is that Ian Holm being a robot is a like reveal to the crew. Like, they don't know he's a robot. So if every android and every robot in this world is Ian Holm, wouldn't they have...
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that.
It's just a little stupid to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes in this movie.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun like roller coaster ride in the theater, I will say. There's so many moments in this movie that I had outrageous fun. Again, like, I don't really like sci-fi. There's a reason I haven't seen all those other Alien movies. They never appeal to me on like a genre level. But like, there's a zero gravity sequence near the end of this that is like stupid fun.
So cool.
There's an elevator sequence that's crazy awesome fun.
Yeah. Very few people can direct a horror set piece like Fede Alvarez. I mean, he's so good at that.
Yeah.
It just like, it's a genuinely very scary, very fun movie. I loved having like multiple face huggers. We've never had that before because we've never had the technology, I guess, but just having like 20 face huggers. I'm, as someone who's very afraid of spiders, that really fucked me up. And yeah, he's so great at that. It is a really fun movie. It's just, there's some choices that like stop it from being as smart as it could be, I think.
Yeah, which from my understanding has been a like back and forth issue with the Alien franchise for years.
Yes. I mean, I'm somebody who only likes Alien and Aliens, and I would recommend that you rewatch Alien, the first movie, because it's very sophisticated. It's a really smart, very sophisticated, very quiet movie until it turns it up to 11 and becomes like terrifying. It's truly a great film. Aliens is a perfect action blockbuster movie, but not as smart and cool as the first movie, in my opinion. None of the other ones are really worth watching.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I have friends that will defend like the newest ones from Ridley Scott, Prometheus and Covenant.
Incorrect.
Specifically Covenant has been getting some like actuallys lately from friends.
That's incorrect.
You know what? The science fiction movies that are in fact all about the lore, I am not about.
I think you'd really like the first Alien movie, but I'm saying specifically for you, you don't have to see any of those other ones.
Yeah.
I know your taste well enough at this point to be like, that's not for you.
Oh,
or for me.
You better believe I'm gonna watch Alien Resurrection because I love Jeunet and Caro movies. I love Dominic Pinon, and I love Brad Dourif and Winona Ryder. So we'll be watching the insane 90s one.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, that one.
Yeah, like the director of Delicatessen doing a fucking like space horror.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. I'm sure I'll have fun with that. I'm excited after having now seen Romulus and had a good time with it, despite like the like Disney quibbles of it all. I will also say, for being a Fede Alvarez movie, I was expecting a lot more goop, gore, and blood than we got.
Yeah, it's pretty soft for a Fede Alvarez movie. It's not usually he's such a mean. His Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so mean spirited and so gloopy, and I really defended that movie a lot. People hated it.
His Evil Dead is also like, I think famously like used the most fake blood in any movie or at the time. Yeah, like that. So I was fully expecting the chest burster moments and all of like the like kills to be really over the top and really grotesque, and in fact they weren't. In fact, they were kind of like, okay, there was a few inventive things to some of them, but a handful of those had already been like displayed and exploited in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So and a lot of the other cast deaths were like nearly off screen. So I was kind of like,
Oh God, the choice to repeat the famous line of "Get away from her, you bitch" made me so annoyed. I wanted to get up and leave the theater. That's the thing with Fede Alvarez. He's like such a good director, but he always makes these
Disney
little
thing.
choices.
That could be him. That could be Disney. Who's to say?
It just feels like he always makes these little choices that like get in his way. You know.
I will also say, when they did that line, it's bifurcated into "Get away from her," and then it's followed by "You bitch." And when he just did "Get away from her," I was like, all right, put the brakes on it there. You get your winking reference, but you're not pushing it too far. Okay, I'll allow that. That's fine. And then they finished the line off, and the crowd, like I was in a packed IMAX theater, and the crowd kind of like clapped and laughed and stuff like that. And me and some of the people I was with all went,
yeah, same with my group. My group all groaned. And it also feels like, why would an android say that? An android would never say, "Get away from her, you bitch." I mean, that's a quibble again, but it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that character specifically would never say that. And on top of that, the way it's said feels referential, but like Aliens hasn't happened yet. Like, stupid.
Oh yeah, it's stupid.
It's stupid. It's stupid and fun, but it's
a fun movie, and it scared the life out of me. In truth, I was very scared for
the elevator sequence was fucking great.
Yeah.
I will mention I did get to see another movie in the new movie in the theaters this week. That I like well and truly knew like almost nothing about going in. And Josh, when I tell you that is the correct way to see Strange Darling,
I can't wait.
Literally, so I had not been on my radar. People that I work with, we have like a Slack channel because we're all horror fans. And we get excited when we get to work on horror projects, and we get excited when horror projects are coming up that we don't get to work on, and we're kind of jealous that we didn't get to work on them and stuff like that. And someone like days ago put out the Strange Darling trailer and was like, "This looks great." And I watched it and I was like, yeah, this looks incredible. Like, Kyle Gallner is like, I'm always sold for him. And I did only a speck of like research into it and found out that Giovanni Ribisi is the cinematographer.
Yeah.
And the whole movie shot on 35 millimeter. And I was like, this looks beautiful. This sounds exciting. It's pitched as a serial killer movie, and the only thing that's kind of explored about it in the trailer and in the promotion is that you have Kyle Gallner with a gun hunting a woman. That's it. Like that's bare none. Joshua, you're gonna love this movie. I
can't wait.
Leans so heavily into such fun, sleazy 70s thrillers. There's a heaping dose of Straw Dogs in there. There's quite a bit amount of the Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre in there. There's a lot of really good twists and surprises. It looks fucking beautiful. It's really well written. The dialogue and the character interactions are really, really, really good. And it's told in an off-kilter way that enhances the storytelling really, 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 really nicely and kind of keeps the audience guessing throughout the movie in a way that works and isn't like something like the fucking Usual Suspects or something that's like entirely disposable after it's all kind of like put together. And it also features supporting performances by Ed Begley Jr. and Barbara Hershey.
Ooh, wow.
Who kind of steal the show.
I think I'm going to see it on Wednesday. I'm really excited. I hear it's really cool.
I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I, again, urge you to like go in with an open mind and an empty brain with no knowledge of this movie ahead of time. I've seen people who fucking hated it. But mostly I've known people that really, 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 really love it. It is a hard R for a lot of reasons. It is a tough movie and it is a fun movie.
Sounds great.
If you loved Pearl, I think you're gonna love this. If you, I don't know. I think this movie's like right up so many listeners of this podcast alley, and I like it's not getting nearly enough love. Like it just came out this weekend, and like all of the like box office discussion is not even mentioning it even a little bit. It's kind of reminded me of the way that Oddity just kind of like picked up word of mouth groundswell. It was produced by the reinvigorated Miramax after they've been like kind of co-bought by Paramount. So it's like, it's an indie film with at least a little bit of like good marketing push to it. And it's truly like rave glowing reviews. I know a friend of the show, BJ Colangelo, was also raving about it. I will also say the lead actress, Willa Fitzgerald, who was in Mike Flanagan's Fall of the House of Usher. She was the young Madeline Usher in the flashbacks on that show.
Oh, yeah.
She's the lead, and this is one of the single most star-making performances in a horror movie in a long time. She's gonna be in a lot of stuff. She's gonna be really, really big. She's been in a few things. She was the lead in the Scream TV show for MTV. But this is such like a step up big film breakout role. She gets to do everything. I think you're gonna love this.
I can't wait. It's the second kind of like serial killer deconstruction we've gotten this summer. There must be something in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, something's going on. We're getting to do our true crime podcasts again.
Have you ever seen? I'm in this text chain of like a couple of friends who love true crime, which I do, and it's called Murder Muffins because of this tweet that's like it's like me murdered dead in a ditch, and then two 35-year-old women outside my house. Good morning, murder muffins, or like two 35-year-old podcasters outside of my house. Morning, murder muffins. We've got a real oopy sploopy one for you today. So that group is called Murder Muffins.
Oh my god, I love that so much. And that's painfully correct.
It is. I still love true crime. Sorry, I just do.
Well, Blood Muffins, we do have an oopy sploopy one for you today.
Exactly. We really don't. It's not that oopy sploopy, but it is beautiful.
But it's ooky spooky.
It is ooky spooky in the Addams Family sense of the phrase. This is a Japanese anthology film from 1964 one of the most iconic, I would say, folk horror properties out there. It is directed by Masaki Kobayashi. It is Kwaidan. I first saw this in early 2020. I went on a date to the Egyptian with a gentleman and watched this.
That's honestly great. I love that theater. Seeing this movie in that theater would be incredible.
It was really cool. I had never really heard of this movie, and I knew once I started, I was like, "Oh, I remember seeing this face with all the, like the poster art." I remembered, but I loved it. I think it's easily one of the most beautiful movies ever filmed. Separate from the quality of the movie, just the way that it looks, like the sets, the matte painted backgrounds, the production value, the costumes, the grandness of it all. Yeah, just like a gorgeous movie. You'd always put this off, I know, because of its length. What did you think of it, finally watching it?
This is a movie I'd been consciously aware of since high school, probably. I had like a thrifted DVD of it in high school that like sat on my shelf for years. I'm glad I waited because apparently the thrifted DVD was a truncated cut, and I'm glad I was now able to both watch a restored visually and runtime version of it. The thing that had always pulled me in was the visuals that I'd always heard that this movie like looked outrageously gorgeous, and I had seen other Japanese new wave, obviously tons of Japanese new wave movies before and since, but specifically ghost story related Japanese folklore movies like Ugetsu and stuff like that. And so I've also like throughout like high school and college read quite a number of Japanese folklore and like no plays and stuff like that, like both original adaptations and then like the Yukio Mishima readaptations, like from the mid-century era that were trying to modernize things like that. So I'd gotten like familiarized with the rhythms of that stuff, and then with time I also got super into like the similar artificial production value of Mario Bava and Rainer Fassbinder and Jacques Demy and like MGM musicals and stuff like that. So I'd gained a huge appreciation for all of that stuff before watching this movie. Finally, now in like my late 20s. And yeah, it's painfully fucking beautiful. One segment, which I think is both of our favorite segments, is like every single shot is like a fucking painting, and it blows my mind that they were even able to film that. A lot of those shots look like they're out of Wes Anderson movies too.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this. I will say I had a very busy week, and it got very, very, very late the one day that I had time to watch this, and so I was only able to watch the first 3 segments, which was a little foolish because the fourth one is like all of like 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
I just finished that the next morning with breakfast. But I had a really good time with this.
This has an intermission in it, which I love. Like a title card comes up between 2 stories that says intermission. And I did take a 2-day intermission where I was like, I'll come back and watch the other half later. But I'd seen it before, and so I kind of knew what to expect. And I knew that the third story was the longest. So
I didn't know that. And so I was like getting tired, and I loved the second story so much. And I was like, okay, it says intermission, but I'm going to keep going. And based on the first 2 were the same length, I assume this is also going to be the same. And the third story kept going. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, the third story is like basically half of the movie in terms of...
The third story could be its own feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a great one.
Yeah.
How do we approach this? Do we just go story by story?
I mean, that's what we did when we did the Poe film.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
So the first story is pretty short. It is I guess I should say all of these stories are taken from a book from 1905, right? Which is it an Irish book?
It is a book. It is like an English language book that was like distributed throughout the world by an Irish author who was like raised and lived in America from Greek and Irish parents, and then moved to Japan in the like late 1880s, 1890s, and was obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe and folklore.
Right.
And he married a Japanese woman and became fluent in Japanese, and devoted himself to writing down the spoken word folk traditions in Japan and presenting them to the global literary world, knowing that there was a need and a hunger for this kind of stuff.
Right. So this is a collection of old Japanese ghost stories, and the title Kwaidan is transliteration of the word Kaidan, which means ghost story in Japanese. So these are all period pieces. I'm not really smart about periods that take place this long ago, especially in a different culture, but my sense is that they move forward in time just a little bit. Like the first story is very far back. You know what I mean? Like the last story is the most contemporary, although still a period piece, but I'm not 100% that sure. That's just how that's true. It just felt that way to me. The first story is called The Black Hair. And it is about a samurai who lives in poverty with his wife, and he has an opportunity to marry a rich woman far away. And so he leaves his original wife, whom he loves, to go marry a rich woman that he doesn't love. And he's racked with guilt and comes back to his old house and basically finds the ghost of his wife who kills him with her hair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, really.
It's like the quintessential Japanese ghost story in a way that gets moved around a lot. Ugetsu also like plays on it in different ways. And there's like the method and the like rhythm of it even pops up in folk ghost stories like out in like Mexico, in like Pedro Paramo and stuff like that. Of the like, a man is longing for a woman so much, and in the night and in the haze in between memory and dim light and lack of sleep, like finds the perfect like image that he's been obsessing over, and then wakes up the next morning to be like, that was a fucking ghost and or skeleton.
Yeah.
If not both.
I loved it. I mean, it has beautiful sets. You have like different versions of the same set. There's like the haunted contemporary version and the beautiful old version where everything's new and fresh. And I thought that was really beautiful. I love the style in this of all the women who have their real eyebrows shaved off and then painted ones higher up on their forehead. Yeah. It's such a weird thing that I don't know. It reminds me of like, you know, like Mexican girls who would shave off or like thin their eyebrows out and then paint on new ones higher up.
Yeah, it's very like classical Japanese tradition. It's very, I mean, it's a very, very, very specific particular look. And this movie is so much based in so many different historical periods of Japan. And I think Kobayashi was really focused on getting the veracity of those elements correct, because he studied Japanese history quite a lot before he became a filmmaker. And his mentor that he studied under the Irishman that wrote these folk stories down.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that to it. And he really, really, really wanted to get all of that like Japanese like detail down and reinterpret this from like an English adaptation back into Japanese with all of those elements, which is very, 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 very beautiful. And it like flows a lot better.
There's a lot of really strong and arty choices in this movie. First of all, before the movie even starts, I loved the images of just like different colors of ink and water that bring us into the movie. I thought that was so beautiful. But then, you know, a lot of the movie is in silence. Like literally the ambient sound has been removed, like things like footsteps and stuff like that. So it's just silence. It's really cool. And this movie is... Sorry, go ahead.
The soundscape is so fucking incredible. And it's all like, built by hand. It's like every bit they like painstakingly worked with sound designers to like Foley all the footsteps, and like all the like score is like really kind of like almost Eraserhead level, like anachronistic and weird, like
minimalist.
Using like traditional Japanese like folk instruments like a biwa and stuff like that to make really atonal sounds that get really under your skin.
Yeah, it's cool. And it actually is, I wouldn't say that this is like a scary movie, but because of the choices being so strange, it is often unnerving in some way.
Yeah, I feel like more or less the movie's not trying to scare you, more trying to set you into a rhythm of uncomfortability while presenting these folk stories and horror stories to you in a way that visually focuses on the beauty within them and the like overall like kind of like, I don't know, Grimm's fairy tale like message within them. There's always like a certain level of like betrayal or like vengeance related in these stories in some way. Especially in the third one. But like very overtly in this first one. Like he just leaves his fucking wife behind because he's like, sorry, I just can't live in poverty any longer. I'm gonna go take a job and marry this other lady.
Yeah, it's almost like the old EC Tales from the Crypt comics, which were all literally always about cheating spouses, like every time. But this first story is pretty short and very simple and small and classic, and is just kind of teeing you up for the style of the movie and like the kind of story you're going to get, which is like real old school ghost stories. And it's great.
The second one is my favorite.
Mine too.
The Woman of Snow.
Woman in the Snow. Weirdly, bizarrely, when this was first released in the United States in the 60s, this story was omitted for time. And I think that this is pretty universally everyone's favorite story in the movie. As near as I can tell from Letterboxd, everyone's like, the Woman in the Snow, Woman in the Snow, Woman in the Snow.
I saw an interview with Guillermo del Toro on the Criterion channel where he programmed this movie to talk about how much he loves it and stuff like that. And he even is like, yeah, Woman in the Snow is like one of the best things you're ever going to see. Like, so whoever the fuck was programming this for American audiences and was like, we need to save some time. Cut the best one.
Yeah, it's really crazy. This is the story of two woodcutters, one young, one old, who are walking back to their village with wood when a snowstorm hits, and so they have to take shelter in the night. When they're sleeping, the spirit of a beautiful woman comes in, and she seems to be some sort of snow spirit because she breathes on the old man and freezes him to death. And she's about to do the same to the young man when she realizes that she feels pity for him. So he lives. And she says, in exchange for this, never tell anybody about this night, no matter who it is, like not your mother, not anyone. So the young man returns to his mother with his life, and shortly thereafter meets a beautiful young woman who's walking to the village to find work from another village. They fall in love and get married and have children. Spoiler alert, this is the snow spirit in human form. And many years later, after a very happy life, now they have 3 kids. On New Year's Eve, he tells his wife about the story. She turns back into the snow spirit and kills him. Or no, she doesn't kill him. She just leaves. And
she doesn't kill him, but she leaves him with a warning of like, I told you not to fucking do this. This is your vengeance. And she was like, I can't kill you because we have these children together. They're right in the other room. I'm not going to do that to them. But I will warn you, the very moment that they have a bad word to say about you, I'm coming for your head.
Yeah, it's really great. I actually realized for the first time I watched this that there's a really shitty ripoff of this in the 80s anthology film Tales from the Darkside, I think it is, where it's set in New York City and it's the 80s, and somebody sees a gargoyle in an alleyway kill a person.
Oh, yeah.
And the gargoyle says, don't ever tell anybody about this. And then he shortly meets Dawn Chong, who he falls in love with and gets married. And then one day, many years later, he tells his wife, Dawn Chong, about seeing the gargoyle, and she turns back into the gargoyle and like kills him or flies away. And it's like, oh my God, it's the gargoyle story. From a much shittier movie that I watched all the time as a child. This movie is so beautiful.
This movie is so beautiful and such a like better iteration of that. I I fucking deeply love it. And like throughout it, you're constantly getting the like other people in the village being like, she just doesn't age a day. She's so beautiful. Like, and she gets along with his mother, and like no woman gets no no mother gets along with her daughter-in-law. That never happens. What's going
Yeah.
on? I will also say, I don't know nearly enough to anything about the historical periods of this era of Japanese history. But I do know that Masaki Kobayashi very intentionally placed and set and organized the 4 stories that we get around the 4 seasons.
Oh, interesting.
So the first one of the man returning to his wife is set in the fall. So we get all the dead leaves and the dead foliage. And then this one is set in the winter, obviously. The next one we're about to go into is in spring. And then the final one is set during the summer.
I thought a lot during this one of, and this is maybe ignorant, and maybe I just haven't seen enough Japanese movies, but I kept thinking of Lady Snowblood, which is a movie I love very much, but it has sort of the similar aesthetic, I'd say. So if you've seen that and love it. It's
a very similar stylized aesthetic, and she's a very similarly like visually stylized character. I mean, it seems like this is there's some of the stories in this are like very, very like well-known, beloved ones in Japan, like this one, and the next one we're going to get into, and then the final one is like outrageously obscure. That's like a very odd one to be included. But again, why it's an insane choice to cut this one out of the original US release. In Japan, the original poster for this movie, when it was brought out, is like, as with all Japanese posters, especially from this era, is like a wild collage of so many different elements from the movie, especially when you're dealing with like an anthology movie. Very hard to sell one element over another. But they frequently foreground this story. Like, the bottom of the poster is entirely a landscape from this story. And then the woman of the snow is the most prominently and largely featured face at the top of the poster. Like, other characters and stories feature on it as well, but it's like prominently woman in the snow first and foremost. And then the American poster also features an image from Woman in the Snow, but it's not in the movie at all. A crime. A fucking crime.
It's a fucking crime. So all 4 of these stories have like a very cohesive visual palette together, but then they each have their own visual palette. And this story has some of the most abstracted visuals of it, I would say. Like, it has these intense matte painted cycloramas in the background, and the skies have eyes in them, and
it's the most beautiful thing
very
in the fucking
strange
world.
And really beautiful. And the lighting colors are very abstracted in this one, really taken very far out of naturalism.
Whole very theatrical moves that I like was like shaking with excitement in this, both when the Woman in the Snow first appears to blow cold death upon the older woodsman, and also when the wife reveals herself to be her. We get these incredible in-camera lighting changes to get this done. So the camera revolves around the sleeping older man's head as the light and the makeup like shifts under the light and under the camera movement to make it look like normal sleeping to now he's covered in frost and ice. But then when she reveals herself to the spirit, the entire lighting of the set changes. You can like feel the moment that the crew like pulled the switch. It's so fucking awesome. It's so elegantly done. And it's like, I just get so keyed up. But even when it's not doing the crazy stylized winter demon lighting of that, and it's supposed to be like pastoral landscapes, they're running through the field because they're in love, it's still like crazy huge sky behind them. I think they shot it in like an old airplane hangar, so they're running for like a while through this just one set. Which the large set will get used a lot in the next story.
Yes, I mean everything in this was filmed on a soundstage basically, so it has like a real sense of like artifice. Like these feel like theater sets or opera sets, which brings us to the next story.
Yeah.
Hoichi the Earless, which is I would say the grandest. It's the longest in the movie, but it's also the grandest.
It's an epic.
Many moments of this that has a giant cast on stage together that are just kind of in tableau. It very much feels like an opera. Like it's just very grand, very big. It opens with a sea battle, which is also filmed on a soundstage, and it's just like a huge cast. And it's often done in tableau with like live actors, but then it will cut to tapestries depicting the sea battle, and it's all being narrated in song and like very strange traditional Japanese music by the character Hoichi, who's a biwa player. Very beautiful, I thought.
I was really kind of shocked when that set piece started. I was like, what? We're doing what now? Okay. This is like...
It's really weird. And
it becomes Lawrence of Arabia for fucking like 20 minutes. It's crazy. Yeah. I will also say I don't have as much cultural history with the performance of the biwa and of that kind of traditional narrative singing. So I found it outrageously fascinating and exciting at first.
It's kind of hypnotic.
It is. I will unfortunately say it did get on my nerves a little bit near the end of this tale. And I found it a little difficult for myself. And I know that is absolutely just an entirely like, I have a lack of cultural like balance with that.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it's like the ghosts keep bringing Hoichi night after night to play this song that he says has like 10 parts or whatever, and all these secret parts. And it's like, it is funny that like 24 or more people are like, we have to hear that. And then they just sit silently where he plays like a 12-hour atonal minimalist story song. Yeah. It is funny, I think.
This one does have the most comic relief. It has like a comic relief side characters. It kind of has the
it's like bumbling servants. Yeah. It's fun.
So once we get past the battle, we then meet Hoichi, who is a blind biwa player who lives in a monastery and like sits out on the porch and plays his biwa while the other people that live in the monastery are kind of like always like gossiping and whispering about him. And he is approached by a soldier one night and follows him off into the darkness and then doesn't reappear until the morning. And all the monks in the monastery are like, where are you going at night?
Yes.
That's a weird, dangerous thing for you as a blind man to be doing.
He believes that he's going to perform for like a traveling royal and his entourage each night. But in fact, he's going to the cemetery to perform for the ghosts of the samurai clan who died in the sea battle 700 years earlier. It looks beautiful. There are grand sets. There's a huge cast of extras. It's just so beautiful. I mean, it's hard. I don't really know what else to say about this.
The real kind of like core of it and the ghost element comes very much in the latter half of this, once it is revealed to the kind of like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern characters that he's in the cemetery playing to ghosts, and there's like flitting fire ghost spirits everywhere, which that
sort of will-o-wisps.
That is one of the most beautiful sequences with the big like tableau stage where he's surrounded by the water, and that the sets keep changing, and then we reveal the ghosts in like their dead states and stuff like that. It's outrageously beautiful, and I'm like certain that it like played a big role on the influence of certain end sequences in The Shining.
Yes, but then, and I will say on the big screen that all that stuff plays so beautifully when you're at the Egyptian and you're watching this grand opera stage with like 50 actors on stage. You know, it really played beautifully.
I would kill to see this on a theater that size.
Yeah.
And then they bring him back to the monastery where the monks are like, okay, you're being hunted by ghosts. You're kind of being possessed. We can't let this happen. And so they cover his body in sacred writing, head to toe. This is the very iconic image from the movie. It was used as like posters and DVD and VHS covers for years. So that they can't see him, and he just has to sit outside and do nothing, say nothing, and not move as the ghosts approach him, and he'll be fine.
It's meant to magically hide him from the ghosts, only they forgot to cover his ears. So the ghost comes and can't find him at first, but then sees just his ears and rips them off.
It's
again
so cool, and it's so sly too, and that folk tradition, it's such a great visual indicator of that. Just getting to see him covered in that, such a great graphic element.
So cool looking.
But while you're watching them do that and explain the importance of this to him, you get that great close up on him, fully covered in that, as his ears are like visibly sticking off his head, and you're like, "Yep, he's ready to go. I see nothing wrong here." Like,
yeah. And again, there's like a rip off of this in a much dumber movie that I realized watching this. So this is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So please don't take this as slander, but they absolutely ripped this off in the original Conan the Barbarian.
Really?
Yeah. So when Conan has died halfway through the movie, the wizard, who is an Asian actor, covers him in this exact same paint so that the spirits can't take him at night. So it's like visually they completely rip this off. That Conan the Barbarian is a great movie, 10 stars as far as I'm concerned, but it does.
I know you love that movie.
I love it, adore it.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's where the kind of classic ghost story element comes in, because that's when we get the like retribution, that's when we get the betrayal, like to both be like haunted by the history of Japan's past coming to like get physical retribution for you, while also devoting your life to like performing it and retelling it and keeping Japan's past alive. And then the like religious leaders that are supposed to be taking care of you and like guiding you from all of this fail to keep you safe from all of that. Feels like the most heavily loaded thematic story in this lot. Again, keep in mind this is 1960s Japan. This is like right after Japan has re-entered the world stage on both like a world power and cultural moment following the Second World War. This is like a year after, or the same year as the Japan Olympics, which was such a huge fucking deal. And there's such a large kind of like overarching idea of like, so we're past all of that, and that time is behind us, and we're all doing this now. And a lot of Kobayashi's films, this should also be noted, this was his follow-up to his like huge fucking hit, like big important movie Harakiri, have always been very, very, very political and very, very much criticizing Japanese tradition, Japanese history, and Japanese politics. And so this story and this movie in general, both keeping alive the history and the past of Japanese culture, while also very much being like, yeah, and it's also bad.
Yeah.
And we should be afraid of it, and we should be respectful of it, and we should be aware of it. But we also shouldn't just blindly accept sweeping under the rug. I don't know. I find all of that section of this story outrageously powerful, and I really, 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 really loved it.
Yeah. So the fourth and final story seems to be everyone's least favorite, if Letterboxd is to be believed. It is the shortest in the bunch. It is called In a Cup of Tea. And it is about, it kind of it has a wraparound basically, and it kind of questions why some stories never get finished by writers for various reasons. And this is, as you mentioned earlier, a more obscure story. It's kind of only a partial story. And it like finally it ends with someone saying, and then we don't know what happened, basically. And I think it's meant to kind of tie all the stories together thematically as like folk tales that are passed down, and what gets passed down and why, and what gets lost to time. But for me, like I'm a little bit out of energy by the time this story comes around, and it's not as beautiful as the other ones. And I don't know, it just doesn't, I like it, but I have an alternate pitch basically, which is that the third story is about Hoichi, who's a singer who tells folk tales via song. You could have used him to tie the three stories together. Like, there's another way to get to this. And yeah, so for me, both times I watch this movie, I'm just like completely out of energy by the time the fourth story comes around and like want to be done with the movie as much as I love it.
I will say, taking the break where I did following the third story after Hoichi and then before In a Cup of Tea, I was literally rested, reinvigorated, and had breakfast and was like going into In a Cup of Tea. So I loved In a Cup of Tea. I loved the metatextual nature of it. I really dug the story. I thought it was very, very fun. I thought it was genuinely like tense and scary while also being kind of funny, both intentionally and unintentionally in parts. I had a lot of fun with it. And then I really liked the way that it wrapped up the story. And what I like about it, I think, is the fact that it is one of the more obscure Japanese Kwaidan, one of the more obscure Japanese like folk ghost stories. And I think the reason why it's chosen and the reason why it's there is to kind of comment on, like, you kind of all know these first three. We've heard them all to death. I want to inject like artifice and artistry into them and make them larger than life so that you can like feel them inside and out. And then I want to do that as much as I can to one you probably don't know and kind of comment on the like myriad ones that are still floating out there in the ether that are like mentioned in brief in the book and books that this is slightly based off, and also just the ones of Japanese culture that were lost to time.
Yeah.
That were told as like small stories, and we only know snippets of them because only little snippets of them have survived in the cultural consciousness. And I find that very interesting. And I like the way in which that the narrative of the story ties into its little wraparound device. Having said that, I do like the idea of the world in which this whole movie is being presented by Hoichi, telling you all these different stories. I think that would be interesting. However, the purpose of Hoichi as a character and those B1 players at the time was to memorize one single event and present it as a song.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I mean, I like the themes of the fourth story. I like the fourth story. It's my least favorite, and I'm tired by the time it comes around. I do like the idea. There is something about how like these classic ghost stories are so rote and we're so used to them, but it's easy to forget that they represent something that is like a primal, unknowable fear. There are attempts to like organize these feelings that are deep and primal and dark. And I think that this movie gets at that in a really sophisticated, smart way. And the fourth story in particular kind of does that.
The image of someone in the cup of tea is genuinely unnerving. Like really unnerving.
The final image of the movie where it's the inside of the cauldron is like pretty creepy.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It gets funny at certain points as it kind of escalates and like, you know, but like I think it's a really, really, really fun story. And I do think like there's elements of it that pop up in other folklore, and like there's parts of these four stories that echo each other, and that's kind of the point.
Well, I love this movie. I think it's easily one of the most beautiful movies of all time. It just is so gorgeous.
It's a shame that it kind of ruined Kobayashi's career.
Did it?
It did. He was widely respected as one of the best filmmakers in Japan at the time, up there with Akira Kurosawa. And Harakiri was like his huge fucking movie. It swept awards in Japan. It was a blockbuster film. It was a big deal. And so the studio kind of like gave him a blank check to make his next movie. He wanted it to be this. He wanted it to be huge and grand. And it was his first movie in color. So there's all these things he wanted to do with it. And the studio started to run out of money while he was making it. Was kind of a Heaven's Gate situation. Studio started to run out of money while he was making it. And so he sold his house and self-financed the rest of it. And it was like widely reported on in the press at the time in Japan that, they're spending a lot of money on this movie. And so, of course, as soon as it came out, it bombed because the public was like prepared by the press to be against it. Which is a shame. That's
a shame. It's a beautiful movie. Beautiful.
And it kind of ruined his career. I mean, he still made movies after it. I think Samurai Rebellion after it is still widely considered an important movie. But like the run up to this of the Human Condition series and Harakiri and like Thick Walled Room and stuff like that are like outrageously important. If this is the one to go out on, if this is the one to like lose your house and blow the wad and like ruin the studio on, that's kind of worth it.
Yeah. Well, let's play our favorite game, Have They Seen It?, where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I have someone in mind, probably because the word Japanese is in the name, but one of my favorite indie pop singers is Michelle Zauner, I think her name is, better known as Japanese Breakfast. Mm-hmm. Do you think Japanese Breakfast has seen this movie? She's Korean, not Japanese, for the record.
The author of Crying in H
Mart, which is a beautiful, amazing book if you haven't read it. Mm-hmm. Incredible book.
I think so. I think in terms of like, first of all, I know that Japanese cinema, especially older Japanese, like historical Japanese cinema, has a lot more availability in America than in some parts of Asia. Like I've seen interviews with Japanese filmmakers talking about how like a lot of older Japanese films aren't really available in Japan, which is crazy to me.
Strange.
And I mean, she's raised in America and is very much a like indie pop darling.
She's a hipster.
Very, very. Yeah, that's the impolite word I was going for. And Kwaidan's very much one of the more popular ones. It's had a fucking Criterion release since the early 2000s. It's like, if you're getting into like international cinema or Asian cinema, like it's very much gonna be a gateway one in the same way that
I think it's up there with like House. It's
like, very much House, or like broadly speaking, if you were gonna get into like Seven Samurai and then you're like, what's a scary one? You're gonna go to Kwaidan. In the same way that when I first started watching French movies, I started with Eyes Without a Face. I was like, I want to watch a scary one.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, absolutely. This is very much, I think she's definitely seen it. It's like you're saying, it's screened at the American Cinematheque. It screens in New York frequently. I think there's a really good likelihood. It's got a big Letterboxd following. Yeah. One of the highest rated movies on Letterboxd is Kobayashi's Harakiri. If not the highest rated movie. Yeah. So
I am sorry that I used the word hipster. That's such a 2010s word. Like, we don't even use that word anymore. It feels like a thing that doesn't exist in the 2020s. And I just
with like the like shaved side dude haircut and like wireframe glasses,
fascist haircut. It just is like a thing that doesn't
suspenders
exist.
And a unicycle.
It's very millennial coded. It's very like epic bacon. Very like
epic wind sauce, bro.
Hated the 2010s. I'm glad they're over. Who do you have for me?
So this is a tough one because whenever I think about this movie, all the people that it makes me think of, I have empirical evidence that have seen it. Like, of course, you're like, I wonder if Guillermo del Toro has seen this. Yeah, he famously has seen this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit, and the world and the artifice of this is so constructed and so stylized that I'm trying to think of other incredible filmmakers that were doing similar stuff at similar times. And one of them is someone that I love, and I know you also love, that was using this kind of overly stylized visual language, an entirely different genre and an entirely different country, to make musicals in France. Do you think Jacques Demy has seen Kwaidan? And I will follow this up by saying that in the 1970s or late 60s, Jacques Demy made a movie in Japan.
Did he?
He made It's called. He made it in 1979. It is called Lady Oscar, and it is a movie about a woman during the French Revolution who is both like a fancy lady and also like a sword fighting like maverick, who's played by Catriona MacColl from The Beyond and City of the Living Dead.
That
and
sounds excellent.
Based on a very famous Japanese manga and was co-produced by a studio that was making an anime series of it at the same time. So they made an anime series of it for television, and then they hired Jacques Demy to come out to Japan and make a live-action feature film. I haven't seen it. It's pretty hard to come by. From my understanding, it's on YouTube. I need to watch it. It looks beautiful.
I mean, I love Jacques Demy. For some reason, my gut said no, he hasn't seen this. But then, he was married to Agnes Varda, and for some reason, I think she has seen this. So I feel like...
Yeah. I mean, she gets around. She was like...
Right.
One of the most
She's like a world cinema
and...
person
yeah.
in a way that I feel like he isn't. But I don't know. Maybe... I don't know. What do you think?
I could see the two of them spending time in Japan together as he's in preparation to make Lady Oscar. And I could see him being like, what's a great Japanese movie? Someone show me like what's something great that you guys have sitting around? And I could see someone spooling up Kwaidan for him.
I would say final answer for me, I think he has seen it, but I think it's because of Agnes Varda.
Yeah.
Like her influence.
I mean, or I could see also like near the end of his life, like it was released on Laserdisc and VHS and stuff like that in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. So I could very much see like her taking care of him and like hanging out together and being like, let's put this one on.
Yeah, he would love this movie. I mean,
let's put on the Laserdisc of Kwaidan, Jacques. Said Agnes Varda circa 1991. Yes, something like that.
Yeah. This person came to my mind out of the clear blue sky, unrelated to anything, obviously. Alec Baldwin? Do you think Alec Baldwin has seen Kwaidan?
That's, you know what? Listen, for famed murderer and Academy Award nominee Alec Baldwin, he is famously a really big art house and international film fan. He's hosted a lot of TCM. Back when Robert Osborne was around, he would come in and guest curate stuff for them. I know, I think on his, like, he did one of those like top 10 lists for Criterion way back in the day. And when she listed like Akira Kurosawa's High and Low and like Costa Gavras Z as like his favorite movies, which like, taste, sir, Z's the fucking best. If it had even an inkling of horror energy in it, I would have somehow shoehorned it onto the show by now, but unfortunately I cannot. I think he's seen this. I think maybe in like his 30 Rock era, he maybe like took some time out and caught this at like IFC Center or something like that.
Totally. I think not only has Alec Baldwin seen this, I would go as far to say that his character Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock has also seen it.
Jack
Donaghy is like the most sophisticated Republican who ever lived, right?
Jack Donaghy,
he goes to the opera.
Yeah. And gets annoyed when it's the Sanford and Son theme. But also who canonically, one of his favorite movies is Time Cop.
Yeah. I love Jack
never
Donaghy.
saw Time Cop. You will, and it's great.
One of probably my favorite Republican as far as it goes.
Unfortunately, I agree with you.
Yeah. He's like kind of an old school Republican, like pre-MAGA. We didn't have MAGA then, so it was like the old school Republicans who just like wanted to be rich guys and didn't care about anything else, which is not good.
And now they want to be rich guys. They don't care about anyone else to the detriment of like human life. And you're like,
exactly.
I think he absolutely has. And I'm just gonna run down the other Baldwin brothers. Actual Republican Stephen Baldwin. There's no way in fucking hell.
No way.
Has he even seen a subtitled film? I think he was given a screener of Parasite, got 15 minutes in, and got angry and unplugged his TV. Billy Baldwin, I think Alec has gifted him maybe a DVD of this movie, and it's still sitting on his shelf unopened. So that finishes that run.
Do you remember when my arch nemesis, Caroline Williams, star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, tweeted during the Oscars about how Parasite shouldn't win because it was a subtitled foreign movie.
I don't remember that. She's a kooky lady.
She's my enemy, and I've talked about it. I'm like my personal nemesis because of an incident that happened in 2018. But yeah, I don't think any of the Baldwins have seen this except for
Alec.
Yeah.
Not even Hilaria? Come on.
Maybe Hilaria. I kind of love her. She's such a grifter. I also love that they have like 55 children and they have a reality show either out or coming out. And all of the promos, it's her talking and Alec just like sitting in the background, staring into the middle distance, sad as can be because he has too many kids and he's old. And it just is a delight to me.
Well, to get to the next and final pick, to talk about someone who's very well known for being old, having kids, and having been on Saturday Night Live. This is someone who has a penchant for horror films and the supernatural, and quite a lot of my initial experience with ghosts in cinema came from this person, and that would be Dan Aykroyd.
Oh.
Famed ghost believer, actual ghost hunter, and UFO believer. And like he's from a family of ghost hunters, actually. Like his grandfather was like a medium in like the 1910s up in Canada and stuff like that. That was a ghost, listeners.
Or it was my phone falling out of my pocket.
No. I've seen Ouija Origin of Evil. That was a ghost. Do you think that Canada's favorite spectral son, Dan Aykroyd, the director of Nothing But Trouble, has seen Kwaidan?
Do you think we can make a case for doing Nothing But Trouble on the podcast?
Yes, we can.
I think
as a highbrow, lowbrow double, we can definitely do Nothing But Trouble.
That'd be great. No, my gut says no. I love him.
I adore Dan Aykroyd. I want to spend like a week at his house and just like hang out with him.
He is a weird guy who loves weird movies, obviously, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I still think no. What do you think?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say
Did you just Google image a photo of Dan Aykroyd to reference? Is that what you're doing? Like, Dan Aykroyd, what does he look like?
Dan Aykroyd, what look like now? Dan Aykroyd, young and hot. AI generate sexy, shirtless, modern Dan Aykroyd.
Do you ever feel like when we play this game that you have to look at a photo of the person to know if they've seen it or not? I do that often.
I don't. I was actually trying to find if there's like an interview with him online or like a list online of him talking about his favorite movies. I know he did win his Letterboxd top 4 when the new Ghostbusters came out, talking about some of his favorite movies. I genuinely don't remember. The only movie I can think off the top of my head that I know that he's ever even talked about is Dr. Strangelove, which like, shocker, he's a boomer. That movie changed comedy.
Of course.
Obviously. I'm going to say he has. I feel like he has adventurous taste, and I feel like he has a like really strong penchant for both the supernatural and like respectful horror, I'll say. You know, in the way that's not like not to create a new elevated horror, but in a way that's like horror stories that are dealing with like folk horror traditions and concepts of the supernatural and ghosts and vampires and stuff, that's approaching it with like a curious and like respectful eye towards like the existence of that culture, and not from a like let's scare them, we gotta scare these fucking teenagers that are parked in a car trying to neck. I feel like he like loves all those like 50s B like the Atom from Outer Space movies. Like I feel like he loves the Blob and those movies. But I feel like as an adult and like as a man of a certain age, I feel like he very much like has a library of books. I feel like, honestly, other than Guillermo del Toro, he's probably the only other person I can think of that's actually read the Lefacadio Hearn books that this is based on. In fact, he may have read those and not seen this movie, or he may have read those and those brought him to this movie. But I think it's possible. I think he's seen it.
I think it's certainly possible. I think since we mentioned it, I think he's definitely seen and loved House. That's like a very Dan Aykroyd feeling movie to me.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think most people's taste, and at least it should, in my opinion, get more sophisticated and more varied as you age. Doesn't always happen, but that's the ideal, I think.
Yeah. When you're young and in your college, you can just toss back the cheapest vodka that you can find. Nowadays, it's nothing but top shelf Dan Aykroyd Crystal Skull vodka for you. And I get that. I understand that.
That's kind of the reason for the podcast, right? Like I've watched and obsessed over horror movies my whole life. And so I'm sort of surprised when people who are in their 30s or 40s who are horror fans are just super excited about franchise movies. And it's surprising to me because I feel like I've had a different experience where my taste is I need something different. Like, because I watch so much horror and have my whole life, I'm looking for other things. You know what I mean? I don't want to just watch Friday the 13th movies over and over and over again, as much as I like them, you know?
Yeah. And I had the like very unique and the backwards experience of this, where like, this is the kind of stuff that like really spoke to me when I was young. And when I was like, these were like the kind of formative movies for me, was like international art house stuff when I was like a teenager and like playing in bands and shit like that. And that was very much an oddity. And I was like the only person who like knew a lot of this stuff. And like, if I tried to show this to people, they would have either no interest, or they'd fall asleep, or they'd watch it and they'd be like, okay, whatever. And with age, the older I've gotten, the more people I've met and come around and come close to that like love the same stuff, or are excited about the same stuff, or come over to my house and be like, oh my God, I've heard of this thing. I've always wanted to see this. Can we watch this? And I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
So as I'm approaching 30, I find, you know, the tastes generally in my age group getting towards there. And I've also noticed with that time, like, you know, a broader just like cultural appreciation for like A24 as a brand, and like cinema being treated as an art form in a way that like when I was a teenager was not discussed as, broadly speaking, but now I see teenagers online talking about that. And like it seems like everyone knows what the Criterion Collection is because there's a streaming app and they're putting out like Shape of Water and stuff like that. And when I was like 14 and renting Videodrome, everyone was like, what are you doing? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do feel like, like we get a little richer with age, and we get richer art and material. And all the more reason I'm glad I didn't see this when I had a shitty DVD sitting on my shelf at age 15. I'm glad I watched it now.
Way to bring it home. Thank you for listening to this episode of Bloodhaus. If you liked it, please rate it wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on X or Instagram at BloodhousePod. Drusilla, shout out your socials if you'd like to be haunted.
Ooh, you can find me and my art over at sisterhighdesign.com. There's a bunch of stuff over there. You can also find me on Letterboxd. If you look for Sister Hyde or Drusilla Adeline, you can see what I've rated almost every Dan Aykroyd movie. You can see what I thought of Dr. Detroit. Not highly, unfortunately. And you can follow me on Instagram if you look for Hyde Sister. And I am usually posting inane stuff over there. What about you, Josh? How can the spirits of our listeners follow you into the night?
You can follow me into the night on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Letterboxd at Joshua Conkel. Next week, we are watching something that's really, really overdue. It's a movie that both of us love. It's my favorite vampire movie of all time, probably. What is the movie?
We are returning to my favorite subgenre of subgenres of all time, and that's European lesbian vampire movies.
Yes.
We've done Jean Roland, we've done The Hunger, and now it's time, dear listeners, that we take a break, we take a little vacation, we set up in a seaside hotel, and we relax with a swinging couple known as Daughters of Darkness.
Ugh, I cannot wait.
Josh literally says this as he has a painting of it behind his head right now.
It's true. It's true. See you next week. Bye.